Greetings, car fanatics. In this video, we're going to tackle a controversial question, which is how rich do you have to be to buy a brand new Porsche? Before we get started in this video, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not, so you're notified each time I upload a new video. This is really important so I can continue to make new content for the channel. If you're on social media nowadays, it's very easy to see your friends and social media influencers driving these fancy new cars, and you might think to yourself, man, how do they afford it? Well, there are many ways you can afford a car. You know, if you follow Dave Ramsey and his approach, you would save your money and you would buy a car outright in cash. You know, for other people, they might be okay financing a vehicle for 84 months. And they might be okay with spending 30 to 50% of their monthly income paying down that car note. So there are many ways you can actually buy a new Porsche or a new vehicle for that matter. Really, in this video, what we're going to cover is how much money do you have to make in order to buy a brand new Porsche. So the first thing you need to consider is that buying a new Porsche is really going to depend on your personal circumstances. So for one, if you live in a very high cost of living area like San Francisco or New York City, you're obviously going to spend more of your income on housing and living expenses than, let's say, you would if you lived in Texas. The other thing you have to consider is your family situation. Are you single? Do you have kids? Do you have a stay-at-home spouse, or do you have a spouse that makes money? So all of these things are going to influence how much money you need to make in order to afford your dream car. So when you talk to financial experts, there are a few rules of thumbs that are pretty common that people throw around. So let's say you make $100,000 per year before taxes. Some experts say you can spend up to 35% of your annual income on a vehicle, which means you could buy a car that's $35,000. Other financial experts would say of your monthly take-home income, you can spend up to 15% of your income on transportation expenses, which includes the car note, gas, insurance, etc. So these two rules of thumb are pretty simple, but it doesn't fit everyone's situation. So let's talk about a better method. So in order to come up with a better method on how much you can spend on your dream car, we need to understand two other methods. The first is the 50-30-20 rule, and this says that no more than 50% of your income should be used on your needs, which includes housing, transportation, food, etc. The other 30% can be used for your wants. So this could be eating out, traveling, buying new gadgets, and things like that. And then the other 20% of your income should be used to pay down debt or used for savings. Now, personally, I think the 50-30-20 rule doesn't index enough on saving money, but it is a pretty good starting out rule. The other rule I want to mention is the 20-4-10 rule, which says that you should put 20% down, you should finance the vehicle for no more than 4 years, and your monthly transportation expenses should not exceed 10% of your take-home pay each month. Now, why we need to combine these two rules to come up with a better rule of thumb for how much you can spend on your dream car, we need to understand that these rules of thumb just see cars as a mode of transportation. But for us car fanatics, we know that cars are more than just a mode of transportation. They're a hobby for us. So if you take the 50-30-20 and the 20-4-10 rule and you combine them, we can take some of our wants budget. So let's just say we take 5% out of the 30% that we can allocate to our wants, and we allocate that to our car budget, which means you can spend up to 15% of your net monthly income on transportation, and it gives you a little bit more of a budget. So now let's go ahead and answer the question of how rich do you need to be to buy a brand new Porsche? Well, the price of a brand new Porsche can range pretty wildly. You can buy a Porsche Macan starting at $52,000 and get it lightly optioned and pay tax and everything, and you might be looking at $60,000. On the high end, you can be buying a Porsche 911 Turbo S, which is going to set you back well over $200,000, or you can even go with the more expensive GT model like a GT2 RS, and that's going to set you back over $300,000. So it really depends, but let's go ahead and take a look at how much you need to make to buy a new vehicle at these different price points. So as we look at these prices, it's important to note that I'm including sales tax and financing in the purchase price. Additionally, each month I'm factoring in 30% on top of the monthly car note to cover things like insurance, gas, maintenance, etc. So looking at the $60,000 price range, you would need an annual income of $104,000 after taxes. At $80,000, you would need an annual income of $139,000 after taxes. For a $100,000 vehicle, you would need a after-tax annual income of $173,000. At $150,000, you would need an annual income of $260,000 after taxes. And let's say you're buying a vehicle that costs $200,000, you would need an annual income after taxes of $347,000. Alright, car fanatics, so based on the modified 20, 4, and 15 budget rule, which I'm calling the car enthusiast budget, this is how much money you would have to make to afford vehicles at different price points. Now, of course, the 20, 4, and 15 rule is just a rule of thumb. It's not perfect, but I do think it's better than just using a straight percentage of your annual income or your net monthly income. Again, it's going to vary on your personal situation, but if you assume you're debt-free, I think these are some pretty reasonable numbers. In my opinion, I would say that if you do have some debts, take care of that first, pay those down, and then when you are debt-free, that's when you can think about purchasing your dream vehicle. And if these annual income numbers seem a bit high and unattainable, don't worry, because there are plenty of options. Me personally, I don't like to buy new cars. Even if I can't afford a brand new car, I'd rather buy a 2 or 3 year old version of that car and save 20 to 30% off the MSRP. So that's what I would recommend for you. And there's a great vehicle at each price point for you, especially if you want a Porsche. You can buy a used 996 911, and those are still very cheap. You can get a great example for under $20,000, and at $30,000 you can buy a used 997. In addition to buying used, you can save a lot of money by doing your maintenance yourself. Check out www.ecarguides.com to get DIY instructions on how to maintain your own Porsche. So there are plenty of cars out there at each price point, so I would definitely recommend that. And personally, I think that cars are fun and they're a great hobby, but of course, take care of your savings. Make sure you're putting enough away for retirement. Well, thanks for watching, Car Fanatics. I hope this video was able to help you figure out how much you need to make in order to responsibly afford a brand new Porsche or other vehicle for that matter. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to hit that bell notification icon so you're notified each time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.